80% of the M4 parts are interchangeable with the M16, which raises many questions from gun enthusiasts. Is the M4 the same as the M16? Which of the guns was made before the other, and which is the most powerful? Welcome to the US Marines channel. We have a new video for you, and it is about the similarities and differences between the M4 and the M16. Before we start, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you have done that, let's go. The M16 was made before the M4 and could be called the predecessor of the M4 rifle. Despite their differences in certain places, they both originate from the United States, and they are semi-automatic and automatic weapons. Since the mid-1960s, the M16 had been the standard rifle for the U.S. troops and North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, forces. However, there's an ongoing campaign to replace the M16 and the M4 rifles. Perhaps we should go back to the history of both rifles. The M16 is an assault rifle designed in 1956 and was made as a replacement for the M14 during the Korean War. It officially replaced the M14 in 1969 after the United States discovered the inception of the Russian AK-47 was giving them a run for their money. They needed an assault rifle that had more firepower and accuracy, which was exactly what the M16 was offering. After the Korean War, the M16 finally replaced the M14 in the Vietnam War. On the other hand, the M4 has also come out as the replacement rifle for the M16 after more than 54 years of service. The campaign for the replacement of the M16 began when the U.S. Pentagon started a design competition for it. They needed a gun design with a shorter barrel and carbine outlook for close quarters combat. At that time, the M16 already had variants with short barrels, but they had a problem. They were quite noisy when firing, so they could not be used as a formal replacement rifle. The United States Army finally took over the development of the M4 gun and suggested changes that would help develop the rifle as it wanted it to be. One obvious change in the weapon was that the impingement mode in the M16 was replaced with a solely gas-operated mode for the M4. And since 2010, the M4 has slowly replaced the M16 in the United States and the NATO military. Since the M16 was a replacement for the M14, its design was made to solve many of the issues found with the M16. First, the bullet of the M16 was designed to be smaller than that of the M14 so that it would fire more rounds. It also features a gas-operated direct impingement system that depends on a rotating bolt to fire bullets. The recoil of the M16 was designed in a way that a shooter can still stay on the target during recoils. With the M16, the shooter can move from the single-fire, semi-automatic, and automatic modes. As said before, 80% of the M4's parts and design were based on the M16, although there were still major changes in design. First, the M4 was designed to have a shorter barrel than the M16 to fit close combat conditions. But while shortening the barrel length, the U.S. Army didn't want it to lose the accuracy and firing range of the M16. Unlike the M16, the design of the M4 is still currently in progress as the U.S. Army continuously changes any objections soldiers raise about the M4. Since the two use almost the same parts, the cost of designing and producing the M4 has continually reduced. The M16 is obviously longer than the M4 in full body and barrel length. Note that the long barrel length of the 16 gave it a massive advantage over the M14 and AK-47. It has an overall length of 38.81 inches, while the barrel length is about 20 inches. Some of the variants of the M16 that cut down its barrel length encountered many challenges. They were known to be incredibly noisy and created unnecessary flashes when firing. So the whole purpose of using them for effective fighting on the battlefield was defeated. There was a need to create a carbine barrel design to replace the M16. The effective shooting range of the M16 is around 550 meters or 601 yards. Then the maximum firing range stands at about 3,600 meters or 3,937 yards. Compared to the M16, the M4 is very small in total body and barrel length. The length of the M4 stands at 32 inches, while the barrel is approximately 14.5 inches. The 32 inches of the M4 is when the stock is extended, as the assault rifle has a total length of 29.75 when the stock is retracted. The effective firing range of the M4 is the same as the M16 at 550 meters. This is the main objective of the M4 design. It was created to be shorter while ensuring its range and accuracy are not compromised. When the M16 was developed, the 5.56 by 45 millimeter cartridge was created to help it achieve better range and firing accuracy than the AK-47 and M14. Because of the 5.56 by 45 millimeter cartridge size, the M16 reached higher velocity, minimal recoil, and flatter trajectory. The M4 uses the same 5.56 by 45 millimeter cartridge as the M16, although it was modified to reach higher speeds when fired. The modification of the M4's 5.56 by 45 millimeter cartridge was needed because the rifle was mainly created for close combat. Moving on to the magazine of both rifles, the M16 magazine was created to be lighter than most assault rifles. The design of the M16 magazine was one of the reasons a campaign for a redesign started. It was made from stamped aluminum, making it structurally weaker than other assault rifle magazines. Apart from this, soldiers, while using the M16 magazine on battlefields, reported so many failures. The magazine could hold about 20 to 30 bullets, and a beginner has to go through many training sessions to learn how to load and reload. The M4 was designed to solve many of the issues soldiers had with the M16, including the magazine issues. The M4 came with a sturdier magazine to ensure reduced failure in the replacement process. In fact, many soldiers who went on to use the M4 on battlefields had low complaints of reloading failure. Even those who complained discovered the issue came from bad maintenance. Since the M4 was built for close quarters combat, the magazine can withstand some suboptimal conditions that came with this kind of combat. The M4 can hold a standard 30 bullets and requires less training than the M16. Regarding action type, both weapons are almost similar, although some differences still separate them. Since the M16 has always been a rotating bolt rifle, it uses a gas-operated direct impingement firing action. It is important to note that the M16 was a direct impingement rifle, unlike the M4. As a direct impingement assault rifle, the M16 uses gas from a fired cartridge to complete the action of shooting a bullet. This is quite different from the M4, as the enhanced design uses a solely gas-operated system. There are still similarities, and so are the differences. The M4 does not use the direct impingement firing action, which makes it have similar properties to the AK-47. The M16 is not only longer than the M4, but it is also heavier than it. The basic version of the M16 weighs between 7 to 9 pounds, depending on the variant. However, when it is added with accessories such as suppressors, scopes, and grenade launchers, the weight of this rifle can be between 12 to 18 pounds. The M4 is quite a light gun to hold compared to the M16. Considering the purpose of this rifle as a close quarters combat weapon, it makes sense that it can be easily carried around without any issues. The weight of the basic M4 is around 7 to 9 pounds. The best thing about the M4 is that the accessories weigh less than the M16. Moving on to the ergonomics of both weapons, the M16 has some advantages here and there. Those that use this weapon for battles have commended it for having a selector switch that is very easy to use. Because it is easy to use the selector switch, a shooter can easily make selections without taking their eyes off their target. While it is easy to reach the switch, it can be difficult to use it under stressed conditions. This is because the selection switch is quite small in size. Those who are left-handed have also complained about the M16 ergonomics. The M4 takes some huge points with its ergonomics. First, the selector switch and maintenance of the M4 are quite better than the M16. The selector switch of the M4 was made to be big, so a shooter doesn't have to lose sight of their targets while shooting. Boom, and that's the end of this amazing video. Don't forget to comment about the best features of the M4 and M16. Please support us by subscribing to our channel and turning on the notification button to receive more videos like this.